Gig Gab, episode 460 for Monday, December 16th, National Stupid Toy Day 2024. Greeting, folks, and welcome to Gig Gab, the show by, for, and about working musicians here in Durham, New Hampshire. I'm Dave Hamilton, and joining me as our guest co-host today is someone, well, whose company you've heard, one of his companies you've heard about here on the show, Hello Band. He is the co-founder of Hello Band, a recent sponsor to Gig Gab. Bruce Bennett is also a musician currently playing with Shot of Poison, a local, actually a nationally touring Poison tribute band. You created other businesses like SuperDups New England CD. You played with Gary Ho and Vernon Reid. You do all kinds of things. Bruce Bennett, thank you so much for taking your time and joining us today.
Great to be here, Dave. Thanks.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. I love that you are an actively playing musician, but you're also you're an entrepreneur. And I often say that all musicians are business owners, and because in some way that is true, but
they just don't realize it, right?
They don't realize it. And so that's one of the things I want to talk about here today is kind of that. How did this start? Were you playing music first, or were you starting businesses first? How do they feed into each other?
Most likely, probably like you and many people, or everybody that listens to this and sees it. You know, we were all young at one point. We loved music. We played music. We learned to play music. We learned to write music. We learned to record it. And I just had a huge passion for music going back to the 60s and 70s, listening to vinyl, started listening to my sister's records, then my own records, discovering bands I love. Sure. And at some point you love this music so much, you want to learn it. You want to learn how to play it. And then the love and learning to play it becomes, oh man, I want to write my own stuff. And that's a lot of passion. So this whole time growing up from, up to 10 years old, early teens and teens, getting my first, second, third guitar, whatever it was, my first major amplifier. And I just had this need to just want to become better and aspire to be like the people that I fell in love with listening to. Sure. As we all do. And we all have different favorite bands. And wanted to be like them, what do they say? Imitation is the highest form of flattery. Flattery, I guess is the right way of saying it. And I just wanted to play the songs that I loved. I could imagine me when I was younger on a big stage playing Double Vision by Foreigner in front of 10,000 people.
Yeah.
I've done it. It took 40 years, but I finally did something like that. But the thing is, then you start to learn how to write, and then you learn about performing live, you learn about everything, all in a world that technology is constantly changing. Holy cow, stuff that changes so fast. So you got to keep up with what you do, how you do it, and how to grab and use the tools that help you do what you do. Sure. But with that being said, now comes into the whole music business part of it. And this is where very fortunately, I was a natural born entrepreneur, the guy that when I was younger had the lemonade stand. When I wanted my first mini bike or my first electric guitar, I'd say to myself, okay, if I shovel everybody's driveway this winter, or if I mow people's lawns, I can add that up and make a bag of money and buy what I want. So the entrepreneurial spirit existed before musician Bruce emerged. Would that be fair to say? Correct.
Okay.
Encouraged by the musician Bruce.
Sure. Oh, absolutely.
Staring at that Sears catalog, that SG copy was $99. That was all the money in the world back then. But to me, I'm like, hey, that's 20 driveways. That's at $5. Assuming everybody paid me $5. And Granny up the road gives me $2, thinking it's a lot of money. But I guess back then it was. But I'll jump to a smart point here and say something I learned along the way. And I heard it at one point in a seminar, and I wish I could remember who told me it, but it makes sense. 99% of the money in this industry is made by 1% of the participants. If you look at this music industry, it's a multi-billion dollar business.
Absolutely.
You want your share, I want my, we all want our share. And one of the reasons it's not like I want my share, I deserve my share, it's I got to make a living. And when I got sick of working in warehouses and working, for the man or doing a job that I just couldn't stand, getting up at 6 in the morning to be at a warehouse to shove auto parts or do whatever I was doing at the time, I just said there had to be a better way. And I just learned how to make money from the music industry. And fortunately, a lot of the knowledge that I learned came from the need of how do I make my music sound better? How? Buy better equipment. Okay, I got a basement in my house with better equipment in it. Oh, I'm recording my own songs. What do? Make money and helping other bands record their songs. Next thing you know, I own a recording studio.
Right.
I have so much audio gear. I'm at a high school dance, and there's a need for them to have a new DJ because the one just totally stunk that was there. What do? Convince the teacher, let me DJ the next dance because I've got a much better vinyl collection. Next thing you know, I'm a DJ. So I'm recording bands, DJing. And so by accruing the tools needed to help me produce what I needed to fulfill my musical dreams and goals, it led me surrounded with a bunch of equipment and stuff that would help me now help other musicians. And then I started making a living. I owned a recording studio. I had a DJ company. And then
so you did what there's a classic saying that there's always money in the picks and shovels business, referring to the gold rush, right? You may or may not find gold, but in order to find gold, you have to go buy picks and shovels. So the guy selling picks and shovels to all the gold prospectors is the one actually making the money from the gold business.
Bingo.
And that's what, and I realize you were also out there, panning for gold, aka playing music, but you took these other things and said yes to them. We recently had Parthenon Huxley on the show, and he said the same thing. Now, he plays in, what used to be called ELO Part 2 and is now the orchestra. So he's got a good gig, but he also gives lessons. He also does all the other things in order to ensure that he can make money in the music business.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And it sounds like somebody wants to call you for one of your businesses.
And it's muted. Yeah.
It's not muted.
Oh, boy, what's up with that? Close that and shut that off. All right.
There you go. Perfect.
So the thing is, a lot of trial and error. What works, what don't work, what makes sense, what don't. But here's what I'll say to you, getting up there in age. I look back at my life, my span, the travel, the fun, the good times, the bad times. I've fortunately surrounded myself in a life of music, whether it was the days in the recording studio with hundreds and hundreds of musicians, or whether it was running live sound at many of the clubs, if I can name drop all day, from the Channel to the Rat to Edible Rex to, people listen to this podcast, probably I don't even know what those names are, but they were the big clubs back in the day. The bands grew up. And so between running sound, recording bands, helping bands, lifting gear, running lights, whatever, you learn a lot, but you also spend a lot of time listening to other musicians and hearing them. You see them talk, you see them laugh, you hear them fight, you hear them mad. And I joke around that I say at this point I have a full PhD in musician psychologist, because I'll tell you, when you spend 40 hours in a week or a continuous 15 hours days in a studio on a Saturday and Sunday recording a band to get a 4-song demo out, you really become their hairdresser. You just sit the board, they're all there, they're fighting, they're loving, they're laughing, they're arguing, they're agreeing, and you just learn what to say, what not to say, when to not say nothing. But you pick up a lot and you realize, hey man, we're all just people, we're all finding our way. We're not stockbrokers, we're musicians. We have a love of music. And I've heard quite a few interesting things. I've witnessed a lot of things. And,
what is there a crazy moment in the studio that you can share with? Of course, we don't need names.
Oh yeah.
Any fun story that comes to mind?
Yeah. I may have got to the point where I was known as Mr. Tact.
Okay.
I won't say any names. At one time I had to send a band home because their drums were so bad shape, the drum heads, just the guitars had rusty strings. I'm just like, you guys, you're spending your money on me to make you sound good, but the tape don't lie, the mic don't lie. It's only as good as the source. I'm the guy that turns knobs. I can
Yeah.
make some sound good, but not bad sound. But I guess one of my favorite jerk moments when Mr. Tact just couldn't shut up was, and I've had some famous people in my studios, people from New Kids on the Block to whatever. Name.
Sure.
Let me grab those names I'm picking up. But one name. One time there's a band from Berkeley. I love musicians, because I always played by ear. I couldn't sight read. I could read charts and stuff, and so they literally, were just going through the song, and they just had this, I don't know, I'll just call it a 19th W chord. It was probably a suspended line, whatever. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah.
And it was
some musician's musician chord. I live close enough to Berkeley that I've played with a lot of Berkeley cats. I know exactly what chord you're talking about.
Exactly. So stop the tape. Like, well, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm like, oh, didn't you hear that blaring blotch? And he's like, well, you see, that was inclusion. That was an incident, that it was intentional. That's a so-and-so chord that's supposed to be there. And so I just tap my fingers. I'm like, so you mean it sounds like shit on purpose? And they all just got really upset with me. Okay, let's record that again.
Back in. Okay.
I don't think I recorded them again. But
I had a moment like that with a producer. He was like you. He was also a sound engineer. Like, he did all kinds of different things. And I was recording a track for a friend's album, and I had gotten there. It was in the evening after work, and his studio was near Hartford. I was living down in Southern Connecticut, so probably an hour plus drive. I'm there. I'd had an exhausting day, and I'm playing, and I go through the track once, and he says, so is this supposed to, he comes on the talkback mic. He's like, so this is like a jazz number or something? And it was his way of getting under my skin, because it was a rock track. And he's like, so this is just like some kind of, jazzy number. You're just going to kind of play lightly through this and let the other instruments drive the song. I was like, screw you, buddy. All right, roll it again.
Yeah.
But in that case, it worked, because he pissed me off and I bashed it out, and he's like, all right, we're done with that track now. Moving on.
Well, I'll tell you one other thing.
Because you become a producer when
you
you're...
do.
Yeah.
And here's the psychology part of it. After recording enough bands, I would always set them up. I would set these guys up, and everybody's relaxed. They're all excited. Like, guys, so we got about another hour to get our sounds. Hey, can I record a couple songs, and let's just listen back and just make sure the tones are there, okay? And so I would do that, but I'm really tracking. They don't know I'm tracking.
Of course.
And so now I got it. It's printed to tape. And back in the day, we used to use tape, and they'd be like, "Oh man!" And they'd go to do the real take. They couldn't get through like the first 12 measures. So someone would hit something, and the drummer would be all upset. Someone's
red light syndrome.
And they're like, "Oh, I wish you recorded the rough practice tracks." I did, and more often than not. So bottom line, some people just can't get out of their own head.
Yes, and it happens to all of us at times. But yeah, I do the same thing, man. I am always rolling, both in the podcast studio and in the music recording studio. It's great idea.
So identify an opportunity, especially opportunity when it could be to make money. So when I had the recording in the studio, I exchanged time for money. The more time I spent in the studio, the more money I would make, including my hearing fatigue. But the thing would be, I had learned how and where to find cassettes and vinyl to be made back in the day because of my own music. I wanted to get a song on the radio for WBCN or some of these major radio stations in New England. You had to submit it on vinyl. Sometimes they would accept a cassette. But it was basically the medium at the time for submitting material for consideration for airplay. So I learned where to have stuff made. And as a extra service to the bands and musicians that played in my studio or recorded, they would, hey, can you get me some of those cassettes? So how much? So whatever I paid, I'd mark it up $50, and here are your cassettes. So you're recording 6 to 8 bands a month, and they're all making cassettes. That's extra income. But I only did it as a file cabinet in the studio, extra income. Then one time came a band that couldn't record because I was booked solid for months, and they needed a song recorded. So they went to another studio, called me up 2 weeks later, said, hey, we went to so-and-so's studio. It came out okay. We really miss you as the engineer producer. However, we need some cassettes. Can you help us? And I'm like, you didn't record with me. Absolutely. Oh, of course. It was free money. I didn't make any money recording them, but they needed cassettes. And then I realized, wait a minute, there's a lot of recording studios here in New England, and they're all recording every weekend. Everybody needs it. And then that was the birth in 1988 of what was SuperDups, which has now become, SuperDups New England Compact Disc, Next Day Disc, New England CD Works. I can go on and on because I got in the recording duplication industry and I stayed with it. And next thing you know, there was no time to record anymore. I was too busy making everybody's copy. But the magical thing that happened—
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. So this is part of today's Gig Gab, which will eventually lead to Hello Man. I identified a need and I helped people fulfill that need. And by fulfilling that need, you get money for time. You get paid for your service. You pay what you do. And
picks and shovels, man.
Picks and shovels. And I've always been humble enough to realize, don't try to make too much money. It's easier to get $1 from 100 people than $100 from one person.
Love that. Love that. I do another show called Business Brain, and that is something I haven't said it quite as eloquently as you just did, but that's a lesson. And I always say it kind of spun around. I would rather have 100 $1 clients than one $100 client, because in both of those scenarios, at least one of your clients is going to go away. And you've got a lot more safety when there's 99 left as opposed to 0.
So exactly. You get 99 left when one goes away. They also there's another thing called the 80-20 rule, but we'll save that for a different podcast.
That's a different show. That's right.
Yeah, for those listening, that's just, you never let more than 20% of your— how's it go again? Help me out here, Dave. Bottom line is, just don't let any one customer become the majority of your income, because if that customer goes away, you're done.
You're screwed. Yeah.
So, so making a living, not worrying about, driving a truck like I did, or being a member of a union, or working in an auto parts warehouse. I'm now behind a mixing board or at a nightclub, running sound, working with bands. When I'm not, I'm playing live. I am surrounded by music, and I've also learned the power of networking, and the networking with other people, other musicians, other fanzines, other local radio DJs, just being involved with everybody to kind of it doesn't make me or my band or music any better. It just makes me part of a scene that I'll fit in, and
then you've got opportunities show up when that happens. And I always say it's the law of reciprocity, right? You meet someone, you do something for them, and expect nothing in return. Truly, you just get out there, you meet people, and doing something for them could be, I came to your show, or it could be, something tangible, whatever. Just showing an interest in a genuine interest, not a fake interest, but a genuine interest in people, building, like you said, that community. Then when you are in a position where, hey, I do need something, but wait, I know I can call Bill, and Bill can help me get in touch with the right people that I need for this. And Bill trusts me because I've been at Bill's gigs and I've introduced Bill to people I know. Yeah. So, yeah.
I'll give a 1-minute story. So this recording studio is going on, and one of the bands I recorded, I received a phone call, and he said, "Hey, how you doing? No, you want to record? I'm booked out for a while." He goes, "No, but you know what? Maybe you can help me. I am really in a pinch. What do you need?" Well, I work for Sony so-and-so, and I'm the musical director that has to finish this music for a game for this new thing called the PlayStation, was coming out in the 90s.
Huh.
And I said, okay, well, how can I help? He goes, out of all the musicians, we got to get together. Can you find me someone that can write me 12 tracks of music that sound like someone's racing a car? Because the game he was working on was called PlayStations. Oh my God, I should just roll off my tongue. Oh my God.
You're having red light syndrome, Bruce.
I am red light, Fred Flintstone, frog mouth. Well, this race game, you think not NASCAR racing. Hello.
Oh yeah. All right.
NASCAR racing. So I'm like, listen, I said, here's the honest truth. I can find you some of the best musicians you want. I'm going to need a month, and they're going to need a month to write it. We got to record it. He goes, I need this stuff in 3 weeks. I'm like, okay, this isn't nepotism. This isn't me trying to capitalize on a situation, but I am going to help you and help me by helping you. What do you got? I happen to have a band that has an album of music. The band broke up. I wrote majority of the licks, but here's the deal. We shut the vocals off, change the tempo, mix it up a little more aggressively. You now have your audio racetrack music. And next thing you know, within a month and a half, one of the first PlayStation games came out called NASCAR Racing. And I managed and did all the audio, which was based on songs that I had produced, and made a boatload of money. And that went on to sell 630,000 copies.
Wow, dude.
So it's
way
it's
to
funny.
bury the lead 20 minutes in. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so you know, it's funny. I'll be having dinner with famous people that are guitarists, and how many did you sell? I sold 260,000. We're all eating our steak. How many did you sell? I sold 160,000. I'll be like, And they're like, what, Mr. Entrepreneur? I'm like, I sold more than both of you combined. You know, eating my steak.
Yeah, the problem is when you do that and the check shows up, it gets delivered to you.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. And you deserved it. Yep.
And you know what I did? I took that money. Well, I did the one selfless thing I guess I did was I bought myself the most beautiful Gibson Les Paul you'd ever seen. I still have it. And I took the rest of the money I invested in real estate to grow my duplication business. And boy, did it grow. Because this little thing in 1988 to 1989 came out called the CD.
Yeah, man.
Well, it actually came out in 1983, started popularity by 1989, and then the CDR technology came out in 89. So I rode that wave by making CDs for some of the first acts that ever had CDs in the country. Not to mention, you know, when I say, you know, back in the duplication days, I have a database. Like I would get phone calls from Bo Diddley, Ray Charles's management. Anybody that needed a CD would find us from our advertising.
I remember the name when you told me the name. I'm like, oh, I remember that. Yeah.
You know, next thing you know, famous people who aren't famous that are now famous. You know, local bands, Stain, Godsmack. I mean, there's so many bands I forget that were my customers because it were just demos or you know whatever.
Yeah.
But bottom line was made a lot of CDs, kept building the network of people. The whole time keeping my love of music and playing, whether I was in a cover band or a national band when I got lucky. And then so let's bring it to current day. What do I do now? I play in the tribute industry, and I play in a tribute called Shot of Poison. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, let's talk about that band because I want to hear about the band and then I have questions. But yeah. How did Shot of Poison start? You play guitar. You are the CC DeVille of Shot of Poison, I presume, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
yes. I'm the guitarist.
Yeah.
And I have a little bit of a long-standing history with Poison. I guess I would more say Bret Michaels. Going back to the day when I first saw them live back in '87. I met Bret Michaels several times, and clearly when you realize 1991 came, there's a problem with their guitarist. Through friends and network of management, I've several times sent in my audition tape when they needed a guitarist.
Sure.
To the point where the most recent time I tried to facilitate that was like the year 2000. It was August 2000. And I flew out to Vegas, had to sit down, like, what's it going to take to get in this band? They're like, well, it's pretty tough to do that. But short and sweet of it is that I never made it in the band.
Right.
I love the music. It was very reminiscent of the type of fun-loving 60s glam versus 60s pop versus 70s rock. Because if you really look at it's still all four-chord American rock. You know, it's rock and roll. It is. You know, is it punk with a little more silliness? Absolutely. Is it simple rock? Call it what it is. It resonated with me, and I like it.
No, and you're not the only one. Poison's music resonates with a lot of people, man.
And that's why I'm in a tribute to them, because when I was sold in the band, Poison has 55 million records worldwide. They had a #1 hit song, 10 hit singles, And I was, at the time, I was getting ready to leave my foreigner tribute I was in. And, I'm looking around. I really wanted to play in a tribute because you can make more money live. We could go way deep, and I'll try not to go down a rabbit hole, but playing in a cover band, you're playing the same 40 songs that the other cover bands are playing in the region, and there seems to be a cap on the money. You're playing to a bunch of people drinking in bars. Your goal is to make people dance. And I've learned from being on the road for years with Gary Hoey for a couple of years, doing what's called seated theater shows, festivals. You put asses in seats, you get a percentage of the money that are those asses that are in those seats, and that's how you make money. It's all the difference from making hundreds of dollars as a cover band and making thousands of dollars as a tribute band. So how did it happen? I was approached.
I want you to answer the question you were about to say. However, I want to shine a light on what you just talked about here, because that idea, cover bands get to the point where it's like, oh, I'm happy now. I'm finally in a cover band that instead of making $100 a gig, I'm making $300 or $400 a gig. And don't get me wrong, that's objectively better. But there's a ceiling there, and it's very difficult to break above it for just a cover band. Now, there are bands in our area. There's that band called Fortune that's been around for like 30 years. We had Bob Vos here on the show. They sell out the same kind of places, those seated theater shows, the Blue Oceans of the world, right? The 500 to 800 seaters kind of thing. But that's atypical of what I'll call a generic cover band. And I know Bob will yell at me for calling them, but they're not
well, I'll tell you what Fortune's show is. Their show is watch how perfect we play these songs.
That's right.
And I've run sound, I've recorded bands, I've been to many venues. There are a lot of bands that put their own take on songs that will cover the same song. 12 bands do it. It sounds 12 different ways. But Fortune, God love them, they do their job. They make you feel like you're listening to the record. And that's the show. And
that's what they do. That's right.
Their show. And that's the appeal. And that's why people will go to Blue Ocean Music Hall or some other large venue and pay $25 to $40 for a great ticket to have a great night of music versus paying $5 club to go and have overpriced whiskey or a beer or something.
No, that's it. But like, you gotta figure, and the tribute world or a tribute band is one of those paths where you can define a thing that separates you in people's eyes before they've ever come to a show, separates you from generic cover band, right? And Fortune did it in their own way, and it took a long time for them to pave that road, because it's, they deliver on what a lot of bands say they do, right? My co-founder of Gig Gab, and he was my co-host for 9 years, Paul Kent, liked to phrase it as, but you haven't seen my fastball yet. It's like, okay, but are you really going to do it that much better than every other cover band? And most bands, the answer is unfortunately no. With Fortune, it's yes. With a tribute band, you have an easier sell up front because people understand what tribute band means.
Exactly. So, and then there's also different levels of tributes. There's the
of course
cover band that learned some Stone Temple Pilots songs that now say they're a Stone Temple Pilots tribute, or change that name to Led Zeppelin or Fleetwood Mac or whatever you want,
or Motley Crue, because we have Motley Crue here in New Hampshire, and they're fun guys. They haven't taken that next level up yet.
And it's important to look at that next level. Now, when people say to me, "Well, give me the ultimate tribute band that you think, Bruce," I'm going to give you two examples. One, Get the Lead Out. Those guys started years ago at $1,500 a show, $800, then $15, and they just stayed the course. Now, do they look like Led Zeppelin? No. Led Zeppelin is 4 members. What do those guys have? 7 or 8 guys on stage? But when you close your eyes, from the sound guy to the lighting director to everybody on the stage, including multiple lead singers that switch off and or do the double tracking live, like you hear on a Zeppelin record, those guys really do their job, to the point where they find those Led Zeppelin fans out there who are never going to see Zeppelin live now, and
Correct.
they get that live experience. And and now look at these guys playing venues like Club Casino. They're playing Indian Ranch. They're playing huge shows for. I kind of know the kind of money they make, and I won't say it out of respect, but if you knew the kind of money they make, you would be like floored. But that's how they afford to have tractor trailers and tour buses.
Well,
and
go ahead with the second one, and then I have perspective. Yep.
Gary, I know there's like 20 different Queen bands now, but Gary Mullen, One Night of Queen. And it's called Gary Mullen and the Works. They play up here in New England. They play quite a bit at the Hampton Ballroom Casino Ballroom, whatever they call it now. And I must have seen the band a dozen times. And when I first went and saw those bands, I would find all my musician friends who were cocky that thought they were in really good bands, including me. And I'd be like, all right, we have a pile of money. I'm like, I'll give you $20 for every mistake you hear them, because there are no mistakes.
Yeah.
The vocals are perfect. The harmonies are perfect. The guitars, everything is perfect because they do their job. And you know what? Not only do they do their job, that's why their shows sell out. That's why Get the Lead sells out. That's why they do 2-nighters in a row. That's why. And that's what happens when you have a business. When you have a good hamburger, people come back and want to buy that hamburger. Well, you take a bite out of a big band, and that kind of reels it back into an A circuit band. So when I was asked to be in Shot of Poison,
hang on, I want to talk about that. However, I'll add a third band to the list. Lotus Land is a Rush tribute band.
Phenomenal.
But again, you can say, I'll hand out $20 bills for every mistake you hear them make. Occasionally they make a mistake, but so did Rush. Like, that music's difficult, but they recover and it's fine, just like Rush did. One thing you noted when you talked about Get the Lead Out is you said even when they started, they were at 800 and very quickly went to 1,500. They knew what level they were at and they set that level by themselves initially. They didn't go take the $150 club gig just to get the opportunity to play. And I think it's really important. I think perhaps the lesson here is it's fine if you've been doing those, $150 a man club gigs or whatever it is, that's fine. But don't wait for someone else to invite you to level up. You do it. You start it internally, and you have to go four-wall those shows or partner with somebody that you can do those, arrangements where you get a cut of the take, like those seated theater shows. Those places aren't just going to call you and invite you to play there. You have to make the relationship with them and show them that they're going to make money too, and here's why, and go produce and present a product that will get it done.
That you, A, are a good product, B, know how to market it, and C, know how to get asses in the seats, which also means people drinking and eating at the venue they're in.
Yes.
That's what it's about. And I'll tell you a little secret, at the very beginning, when there was a larger venue, to upscale, to get out of some of the smaller venues and lower money, when Shot of Poison was coming out of the chute, we wanted to get to that next level. We had to buy in. What does that mean? I get sick of asking a theater, will you hire us? Will you hire us? Fine, I'll rent you.
We call that four walling a show. You bought the four walls for the night. Yep.
Vanilla box, 4-wall. And you know what? I don't need to prove to you anymore. I already paid you your check, make your money, and I'm going to prove to me that I can make money. Now, next thing you know.
Now you got this on your shoulders. You're going to make it happen.
And not only do we make it happen, we're like, oh my God, we sold 800 seats. I got to go find a bigger theater. But that theater wants you back because unlike other bands, you sold out.
Yeah. Yeah, you went clear. You went clean, rather.
So it's really, and it doesn't sound a lot of fun like playing guitar or singing, right? No, this is business. And it all comes back to then, when you're finally on stage, you got to do a good job. You got to appeal to the people that paid the money, that sat in that seat and came for a good time, and like Shot of Poison, we like to say nothing but a good time. But it's easy for us because that music from the 80s it's I won't go down a rabbit hole, but you follow the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, the drug of the 60s was marijuana, the drug of the 70s was cocaine, the drug of the 80s was alcohol.
Yes.
And that's the thing, that when people want to relive their youth, the average fan that comes to a Shot of Poison show is female, 45 to 55 years old. 45 is a little young, 55 was in the peak of it. But they're trying to relive their youth of when they were 15 to 25, coming to clubs and having fun, whether they were legally there or not at the time.
Doesn't matter. They made it through. It's all good.
and they want to sing and relive, what they experienced back in the day. And that's what we do. We're the ringmaster of that circus. And so all we got to do is play the songs, look pretty decent, look the part.
Sure.
And so,
and you do look the part in that tribute. You wear wigs and that sort of thing. Is that right or no?
No one.
Okay.
And we're very fortunate, that's real hair. Is it perfect real hair? No.
Okay. So you are yourselves out there. You probably put on costumes that are reminiscent of that period.
Yeah, tight pants.
Tight. There it is. The tight pants. Yeah.
Nice shirt, fancy shoes.
Yeah.
Fancy flying V guitars. But with Shot of Poison, we decided, listen, we did not want to do Poison back in the day, where some people try to do, and it comes off very creepily. They look like a bunch of old guys trying to be Phyllis Diller running around with spandex. No, and wigs. We do Poison as the art of day. Real guys in their 60s, just playing the rock and rolls from 40 years ago. And so we look like they do today, which isn't too far off, other than a mature version of what they used to be.
Sure. That's great. There is no one formula for a tribute band. Like you said, you can do a Led Zeppelin or a Beatles tribute with 4 people, or you can do it with 7 and cover all the things that would be impossible to do with 4. Right? There's no one formula. You can wear costumes or not.
And here's how networking, business, passion. Here's how it all ties together. When Kenny Gilman, the original founder of Shot of Poison, wanted to put this. He tried it back in 2010. It worked for a couple of years, but just trying to get some right people and some personnel problems, he kind of canned it. He decided in 2017 to get the thing back together.
Sure.
And he was smart. He went to local people that knew a lot of musicians. He called me up knowing that I have 50,000 customers in the duplication business, knowing that I know a ton of musicians. And he's like, Bruce, I need a guitarist for my Shot of Poison band I'm putting back together. Now, he didn't know my history of trying to be in Poison years ago. He didn't know that I've flown out to Vegas. I've been on stage with Poison. He didn't know that. He didn't know that I knew every song.
He came to you for your network.
Because of the network. And
amazing.
And so what happened was I'm on a plane coming back from Florida, and I'm finally like, okay, I got to catch up with all my messages. And I'm like, I got to call Kenny back. And this little on my shoulders, like, what are you, a dum-dum? All right, give up you're going to be in Poison someday. That's 20 years ago. How about just go have some fun and make some money? You have a lot of experience playing live. If he's serious and you're going to make money and you love the songs, go do it. You know what? I called up Kenny. I'm like, I know a lot of people, but the thing is, who's the singer? How serious are you taking it? And when I heard the right answers, I went down to audition, and they were blown away. They're like, wow, I'm like, I'm not going to get into the whole why I know all the songs, but I knew.
But you know the songs. Yeah.
So when we get down to the 4 guys in the band, we had a meeting. I said, okay, guys, I'm going to be that guy. You're not going to like me much right now.
Yep.
But I'm in my mid-50s at that time. I said, I don't have time to waste. I want to be a big band like Get the Lead Out. I've toured the country. I've played seated theaters. I've played festivals. I know what it's like. I want that feeling. I want to make good money. If you guys want to play the local bar and grill for X, it's really not for me. They're like, well, Bruce, of course we all want to play big shows. And I'm like, I can make that happen. 1, we got to work hard and be good. Number 2, we got to be different and big. And so we agreed right then and there to let me be the visionary. And so we all had to write a check for $2,500.
I was going to say, how much money did you put it? So you put 10 grand in as the band. Yep.
So started a LLC, started a bank account, and we bought large screen TVs. We bought cryojet explosive devices, CO2 explosive, not fire.
Yeah.
We bought all the props to make the stage. We bought everything we needed. And we didn't mind spending the money because we knew we had the talent to do what needed to get done. And then when we did our
and the
show,
commitment, right? I mean, you knew you had the commitment ahead of time that everybody wanted to do it. And then the $2,500, it's not a huge amount of money, but it's also not a small amount of money. You're not gonna throw that in if you think, I'm not sure where this thing's gonna go.
Bingo. It's a litmus test, ain't it?
It's a litmus test. Yes.
Yeah, and it's also kind of like, trust me, I've been in many bands, and I see a lot of bands that I would record and or work with, that if you said to them, to be in this band, you got to write a check. Oh man, I can't do that. My wife,
right?
Yeah, and then
so you just want to play. You don't want to be in a business.
Correct. So I said to the guys, there's another local band I really love, by the way, that, man, they do it right. They're called Dirty Deeds. It's an AC/DC.
Yeah, I know them. Sure.
Wow, those guys are one of the hottest working groups in America, let alone New England. And they are to the quality of, you get the Let Out, Gary Mullen. Frankly, they put way more into their show with synced lights and stuff. Huh. But the short and sweet of it is I use them as an example. I said to the guys, they've been doing it for 25 years. I don't have 25 years to do this. Guys, I'm going to be 80 years old, running around with gray hair looking like, see, that's not going to be cool. No. So I'm like, we're going to fast track this. And you know what we did? And we got some good shows because we played well and we didn't look like the normal band out there, and we had props and we had video and we had support and all this stuff out of the shoot. Very quickly, within 3 years, 3.5 years, I'm not even sure if you know about this, Dave. We got contacted by Jimmy Fallon's organization.
I do know. I was going to ask about this Clash of the Cover Bands thing, man.
Okay, so you do know. So
I do a little research before we sit down. I say I'm a lazy podcaster. I'm not actually that lazy.
Okay. And so I can tell you all the details, but the short and sweet of it is 1 minute we're here, the next minute we're in Hollywood.
Really?
And paid for by them. And we're one of dozens or 100 bands.
Sure.
To be on this TV show that he was going to go after The Voice and American Idol. And I could see what they were trying to do. My business guy kept saying, oh no, you guys got to do something, whatever. But I'm a guitarist in a band, and hopefully we're going to be on the show. After 5 days in Hollywood, we realized we made the cut for the show. And I'll be honest, when we're out there, I couldn't really keep my mouth shut. And I would find producers and I'd be like, I see what you're doing. Maybe you want to take the stage and put a video wall there. And you know what's funny? They would listen.
Good. Yeah.
And a lot of the bands were really upset that it was called Clash of the Cover Bands. We're tribute bands. And I remember calling up the lawyer that was at the meeting, and the producer saying, how about keep your name, but just add the word tribute in a tagline? And they did. And bottom line was a lot of fun, great people. Did I think a Poison tribute or cover band or tribute was going to win against a Dolly Parton or a Cher or a Tina Turner? No. But but you got
to do it. Yeah, and absolutely.
We were called by them and E! Entertainment Network. We were called one of America's best tributes.
That if you're smart, you use that to market. And guess what? I've figured out that you're pretty smart at this marketing thing. So I'm sure you used it to market the band.
Yeah, there you go. Keep it simple, stupid. That's what we call it, the KISS method.
Yes.
But make things make sense. So we did the show, and they loved us, and we were so easy to get along with. We were the band out of 20 bands, 10 episodes that they chose as the bumper music for most of the worldwide commercials. Us playing Poison's Nothing But a Good Time.
Of course.
And so that was a lot of fun. I'm sure that made a boatload of money for Poison with the video sync rights.
I'm sure it did.
And the last time Poison was in town, I got a lot of hugs from those guys because they were very happy.
I'm sure they were.
They had all seen the show, and so now we can tie ourselves to Jimmy Fallon. Listen, success by association. Does any of that make us a better band? No.
It makes you a more marketable band, though.
A more marketable band.
That's more important because there's a lot of good bands out there. And there's a lot of crappy bands too. But I remember I joined this wedding band a number of years ago. It has since fallen apart. But we wound up, after I'd been in the band for maybe a year, we wound up playing a public gig. And my wife was like, oh, I can come down to, like, it was half public and then the wedding was afterwards or whatever. But we played a set of music that the general public could see, which was very rare for this band. And, this band paid well. The band would make between 5 and 10K a gig. It was standard wedding stuff kind of around New England. So it's fine. Paid 10 times what I was making in Fling, which was this sort of half cover, half original band at the time that I was in. And my wife knew that band very well. And so she came out to see us. And at set break, I'm like, what do you think? And she will be honest with me, which I love. She's like, hey, it's good. She's like, but like, there's nothing special about this band. She's like, Fling is much better than this band. And I was like, oh yeah, I know. Like, I'm on stage. I try to be pretty self-aware. I see it, of course. And she's like, but why does this band make more money? I'm like, you already know the answer to that question. And she pointed to Gary, our leader, and she's like, he knows how to market a band and is willing to do all the legwork and won't take less than X for a gig and is happy to say goodbye and do all the things that you need to do. And that's why that band made 10 times as much. It was good. It was certainly far better than passable, but it wasn't even the best band I was playing in at the time. And yet it made, in one gig, it made more than that band would make in 6 months or something. The other band would make, but that's what it is. You got to be able to market and sell.
Correct. And you're in two levels of what you call business relationship. So, and people out there listening, a lot of you know business, there's a thing called B2B and B2C. Your B2B is your business. You're a band, I know, but your business to business relationship is the venues, the club owners, just the people that help you make your gigs happen.
Yeah, B2B being business to business, B2C being business to consumer, just for anybody who doesn't know those terms. Yeah.
Now you could say B to F, business to fan or band to fan.
That's a smart place to market.
And this is where you're going to get to Hello Band at some point here, because I'll go back to the 80s when I was talking about my studio when I would help bands make cassettes. Fans are customers, and it all comes down to whatever you sell: hamburgers, lemonade, live performances, seats at a theater. It comes down to how many can you sell? How fast can you sell it? What's your demand? It's called strategic inflections. You got to keep an eye on your market. You got to keep an eye on your market share. You got to keep an eye on your competition. You got to keep an eye on your consumer. Are you in demand? All the things you need to do to make sure you're staying relevant for what you do to make money.
Yep.
So now I go back to, people, as I rose up in the network chain of, wow, Bruce is on radio, Bruce is on interviews, Bruce is speaking at Berkeley. It's just because I've grown my network, and kind of the network pushed me to where I was to be in a position to talk. Yeah,
your network will push you. You have to work initially to build it. You got to put a lot of energy in, and then suddenly,
Yeah, and I tell people this also: be kind. Don't just be nice. Nice is when you're nice to people. He said, "What a nice guy," but I'd rather be called a kind guy, because I truly, really do love music. I do like helping people, and I can. At some point, I'll probably end up being a consultant, because God knows I do it every day, every week to different people, and just helping them out because I'm kind. I don't mind sharing my knowledge. It doesn't mean my knowledge and expertise will help everybody at every moment of what they have going on, but it certainly help paint a perspective. But if I was talking to you or someone and be like, man, I really want to make a living making music. I'm like, a piece of cake. What do you want? What do you mean? Just give me a number. All right, I want $1 million. Piece of cake. You want to make $1 million? All right, watch this. How do you do it? All right, find a fan to give you $1 million. What? That's all right. Let's shave it down. How about
maybe find 1,000 fans. That's right.
Well, I get down to or find 2 fans, and then I'm like, how about this? You can get $20 out of someone pretty easy by selling a CD or a T-shirt, and by the time you make some money. And just remember, you have to tell them, when you make $1 million, you're going to have cost of goods, your marketing. You may only clear 600,000, but that's you. So find 50,000 fans to hand you a $20 bill. That could be 1 CD a year. It could be a T-shirt. It could be a ticket to a show that of a hall you rent. It's business. It's find your fans, know who they are, stay in constant contact with them, and just not milk them, but give them the product that they want. And that's why you see so many of these famous bands from the has-been eras re-release those greatest hits CDs with the same songs over and over again, because fans just want something new, even though it's the same thing repackaged. It's just something new to buy to get that $20 bill. So now you go back to a lot of the bands I was in. It was always to me about mining the data, watching the data, and I won't get too deep into it, but one of the first serious original bands I was in, we had this thing where it was a mail order campaign where I would say to people, hey, you can have our demo tape for free, but you got to give me $3 shipping and postage. People didn't know that cassette cost me 70 cents and the postage cost me 52 cents. And the envelope, when it was all in, I was making, I think, $1.22 per envelope that went in the mail, which was more than any record deal would have ever got me. So back in the day with my, hi, I'm going to free tape. Oh, you got to pay for the shipping. I built a database of tens of thousands of names. Here's what I learned. Now I had that database manually being entered on my 386 computer from Hewlett Packard. I learned that, wow, now I can mail all those names next year a postcard saying new t-shirt for sale. Second album on its way. I had a return rate of 28% with what's called direct marketing, which is phenomenal.
That's phenomenal. But
so people,
you were
I want
marketing
you to
fans.
Dave, do that again. Say that wow again. I want your listeners to hear that.
Wow. Yeah.
So the typical response rate is 1 to 3%, more often less than 1%. Meaning you send out 100 postcards, you're lucky if 1 to 3 people pay attention, less than 1 will act. So now when you have a direct list of who your fans are, okay, you can now marketing to them your product. They're your fans. They prove to you they're your fan. They sent you money in the mail, or they came to your show, or they're coming to see you multiple times. Make it easy for them to follow you. Make it easy for them to reach you. Make it easy for them to engage you.
I have a question. I had Susie Major on. She sings in West Coast Aerosmith tribute called Rag Dolls. Yep. And we started talking about this fan engagement thing, and we began by reminiscing about the days when bands would send postcards to their fans every month or two or whatever it was. So, and then we talked about, well, if we could get people to give us their postal, like their physical addresses, doing that today would probably have an even greater impact than it did back then. So I'm curious, do you do that with any of your bands? Do you send out physical postcards to the fans for whom you have addresses?
The simple answer is no.
Okay.
But if I had a new band, I would. And I'll tell you why. Because my current 2 bands, Shot of Poison, because of the TV appearance, we're so fortunate. When you play a NASCAR race, or you play the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally, or you're flown to Portland, Oregon to play a big rodeo and fair, there's no one I can mail to. You're there to do your job because you're famous. You're reality people from TV.
Yes.
But if I was trying to fill the local venue, which doesn't happen as much, like work hard, yes, I would do that. But my duo, now I also play in a duo to fill in my weekends that I have off. That duo plays exclusively small venues that never charge a cover, and it's not hard to bring 100 people in. And because of the duo that I joined, me and a guy named Chris Hawk, phenomenal singer, we do everything from Jethro Tull to Kool and the Gang.
Oh, awesome.
From the Beatles to Cameo, so from the Ramones to whatever. We have a lot of fun.
You don't wear the red cod piece, though, do you?
No,
I just had to ask.
That would be something.
Put it on just for the one song and then tuck it back in your guitar case. So
Siri, remind me later to order a red cod piece.
There it is. See.
So, oh my God, she's really gonna do that.
She's gonna do it. Yeah, man.
No, don't go to that site, Siri. Please don't.
All right. So you would, yeah. I think there's benefit to it. There's a lot of questions I have for you, and I want to make sure we talk about Hello Band.
Well, that's where it all leads to, because the duo does use Hello Band.
Yeah.
Well,
okay, let's talk.
So look at this. Shot of Poison's huge, national TV, tens of thousands of followers between Facebook, Instagram, Reverb Nation. Whatever the 12 social site icons. For the love of God, I cannot get the word out that I'm in New Jersey playing a show, Shot of Poison. I send a text to my friend who's the editor of a local newspaper down there, Hey, you coming to the show? Oh yeah, let me know when you're in town. I'm in town. Oh, I didn't know. How could you not know? Facebook has the event. You've been invited because you know what? Facebook has become, unfortunately, not just for the music industry, a pay-to-play thing. All that work and years of everybody in the band saying, like me on Facebook, follow me, like me, follow me, like me. Now, none of them get to follow me unless I pay them a really large amount of money to break past that barrier that they put up. Oh, you want to see the 15,000? You got to pay us to reconnect you. I'm like, what are you talking about?
We're already connected.
We're already connected. Yeah.
So you're not. Those are Facebook's users, not your users.
Bingo. So that's why I created Hello Band, to teach bands to get back to the old days, Dave, like you said, collect email addresses and or address when you can, and go back to your customers, not Facebook's, not Instagram, not 20 other social sites. They're your customers. And you know what? Lesson number one, don't think that everybody's going to like you. Find the people that do like you. They will let you know, and collect them and grow it. This week I have 10 fans. Next week I have 18 fans. Week after that I have 28. There's so many people that play a show, some bands or duos or solos. There's 100 people here. I'm so nervous. Why are you nervous? That's your aunt, that's your mother, that's your grandmother, that's your next door neighbor. There's clearly your daughter and her 3 friends that don't want to be here, but dad's playing. You know, and of course they're gonna like you, but I don't understand why they don't come to every shows. You know what? Because
did you invite them?
Yes. Or you sound like Bruce Springsteen and they like Metallica, but they were there to at least support you. However, in your first night, you did find people that like you. So attract them, engage them. That's what Hello Band does. It's basically a quick way of saying, hey, I'm here for you. If you like me, scan the code, join my mailing list, see when I'm playing, follow me, do it, just connect with me somehow. Yeah. And so I'll tell you one little quick story. I'm at a local restaurant here with the bar, and a good friend of mine, I'll say her name, Jody Frawley.
I know Jody well. Yeah.
She plays
Bruce and I don't live, we've never met in person, but we don't live all that far from each other. I think we're about an hour apart.
It's funny, right? And so I would go out and see Jody all the time. Phenomenal vocal, phenomenal guitar player. And I would love it to, have my glass of wine, sip some soup, and watch Jody. Now, even though I play in a band, I'm shy. What does that mean?
Oh no, that's common.
I don't want to walk through a restaurant and put my butt in front of someone eating so I can give her 10. But I do want her to know I came to support her and I wanted to see me. And other than me standing up the bar, 20 feet away going, hey, and then of course she'd always be like, oh, hey, everybody, Bruce is in the house, whatever. So that's when I sat there saying, there's got to be an easier way. And then when I walked up to her tip jar and it had a little tiny QR code on it for those who didn't have cash, I didn't know it existed because it's on a stool in front of her with 4 tables of people blocking me. That's when I envisioned how Hello Band was going to work. I would love to say hello to Jody without leaving my seat, but let her know I'm there. So that's how Hello Band works. She has her code, her Hello Band code now. I see it from the bar. I scan it. Pow, landing page in seconds. Hey, Bruce is here. Play some Neil Diamond. That's a joke. And then her app on her phone, boop, she sees the instant message. Yep. And she's like, she looks up, hey, everybody, Bruce, where are ya? It's your Neil Diamond, son of a gun. And next thing you know, I got my shout out and she knows I'm here. And even though I don't have any cash anymore in my pocket because everybody's going cashless, I now, same app, I tip her through Venmo or however she uses. And so I've connected with her and I never left my seat.
Those messages from the crowd to the stage are, it is magic is really the way I would describe it. And it's obvious once you hear it. I mean, you folks just listen to Bruce explain what Hello Band does, the genesis of it. And it all is very obvious once it exists, right? But it hasn't existed until now. And the ability for people to do that opens the door. So many people want to engage, but they probably haven't had enough to drink yet to come up. And by the time they had, you don't want them to come up. Like,
correct.
Hello Band solves that problem for the sober person that still wants to say hi, but doesn't have too much liquid courage that they're going to come up and want to sing. This is perfect. Keeps them in their seats, puts you on stage, and the connection is fostered separately. Yeah,
right.
It's amazing.
So I'll tell you how the creation fully came up. Let's go quick. One, I was kind of confused when I would go to my friend's place and there'd be a banner next to him, and there's a giant picture of him on a banner, and I'd be like, but I know it's you up there because you're standing next to your banner, and it did have 6 QR codes, or it would say something like at Venmo, blah, 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 /123, or Facebook.com, my band name, 123, New Hampshire. And I'm like, I'm not going to type all that sitting at a bar. And when I aim my phone at your 6 QR codes, so I'm like, and I get it. I know that there are other companies that would have something similar, but this had to be based on how musicians would work and promote it. So the technology is this. One QR code, as I say, does it all. So whether it's on a table card or a tent in front of you or on a large banner or on what we call a speaker wing hanging from your speaker, you see that QR code, you zoom in on it, and this is what I love. You do not have to be a member of any app to use it. So if you're playing in a room of 200 people, all they do is scan, and it's like they're going to your menu, not the menu of the burger joint you're at, your menu. And your menu is called a landing page. That landing page has whatever you want on it, whatever photo you choose, whatever name you choose, whatever tagline. If you want to send them to Facebook, you can. You want to send them to any social media, you can. You want to have them send you a tip, it's very clear. They'll see it. It's called one code does it all, and it's as simple as I'm looking at my phone, tap, tap. Anything I can do quickly and easily. And when I've sent you a tip, I've
it's
engaged
great.
you. When I've joined your email list, I've engaged you. My favorite part of Hello Band. Oh my God. Schedule. Click schedule. So Jody's playing. I see her QR code. I scan it. I look at them like, oh, I said hello to her already. Great. And by the way, about the hello, I didn't need her email or her text to say hello. That's private messaging. She didn't have to give anything out private about her life. It's a message that goes to her device because she's the one that has the app on her phone or the person using Hello Band. But my favorite part, gigs. I look at gigs. I see the schedule. Oh, she's back here 2 weeks from now. Great. Look at that. Add to calendar. Hello Band will add that gig to my phone because I scanned it. And I told it to add it. I don't have to hope that Facebook reminded me. I don't have to hope.
Oh yeah, no, you can't rely. You can't rely on Facebook. And this is an organic episode. Bruce is not paying to do this. It was my idea to invite you on here. Yeah. I want to make that clear. You are sponsoring the show. This doesn't happen to be one of those episodes, and that's okay. In fact, I wanted it that way.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
Well, but you have other you've shared a lot of valuable information in addition to the valuable information about Hello Band. But I just want to say I've used it with Monkey Fist. We're going to start using it with Casual Gravity.
Cool.
Well, yeah. I mean, every band can do this. You find your way. If you're not a band that takes requests, you just don't put requests in the app, but you still can. Like you said, the calendar and the messages to the stage, all of that stuff. It's and tips. Hey, they always work.
And take Hello Band out of it. Hopefully, what people are getting out of this episode is you're in a business.
Yes,
and fans are consumers. Consumers can be fans, and it's up to you to manage that business. And it's not going to come easy. At any given time, your business is declining, stagnant, or growing. And the music industry is so awesome because, like I said to you, this week I had 10 names. Next week I have 15, and it's going to keep growing. And it's about growing your business. It's about making it easy for people to come back and see you.
That's it. Reduce the friction, and people will come back. You will make more money.
You get more people. It's not like I don't want to hire you because I'm not sure if you fill the venue. It's like, oh my God, I have to get you here 6 times a year because you do so well.
Yep.
And then what happens then? Then you get a little more money. Not to mention you get more tips. Whether you use Hello Band or not, you want to treat it like a business.
But then it's less of a risk. Less of a perceived risk when you decide I want to level up and I want to rent a theater. I want to 4-wall my own show. Well, now you have at least the email addresses of however many fans you've been able to collect over the years, and you can contact them directly. You don't have to rely on the Facebooks and everything else. It's a great thing. I have 2 more questions for you. One of them I would ask in the show anyway, and the other one would absolutely be something I would ask post show. So I'm going to do them both here in the episode. the first one is the post-show thing, and it's a super nerdy question, but I gotta know. So you've mentioned the Poison song, "Nothing But a Good Time," many times.
Sure.
Obviously, your Poison tribute plays it. I play that now in Casual Gravity, and when I learned the song, I came into the band hot. Like I had to learn 40 songs in a 2-week period so that we can go play the gig. So we didn't really get to rehearse everything the way that we would want to. We maybe ran through each song once and they all knew them. So I was like, okay, great. If I just learn the album version, they tell me what the differences are, good to go. Well, it turns out bands don't always know what the differences are that have evolved from the album versions. And Nothing But a Good Time, there's that breakdown in the middle where everything drops out and the guitar plays the opening riff, and then the drums come in playing half notes, playing every other beat, while the band kind of builds back in to the final choruses. On the album, the drums hit on 1 and 3, right? So the guitar plays da da battle da 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 da.
And you hear that backwards sound.
Right. Yeah. But the backward sound, it comes in. It's da 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 da. It's that. Live, it's da 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 da. Right. It's on the 2 and the 4. Which way do you guys play it?
Just like the record.
The studio record.
And I'm going to share with you a little trick.
So you play it, that your drummer plays on the 1, your drummer and bass player play on the 1 and the 3.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
because Poison switched it. If the live version, Poison, they hit on the 2 and the 4.
Well, because that whole thing comes right after the guitar solo.
Yeah.
Everybody's got good enough monitors so they all know where the 1 is.
Well, yes.
It naturally happens. But that reverse flume.
Yeah.
It's not a reverse. It's someone going.
Right. It's just exactly.
Someone making the noise with their mouth.
I do the noise live because why not? Yeah.
It took me a while. I'm thinking to myself, I've done backwards reverse reverbs and stuff, but nothing's
doesn't
ever
sound like that.
And then you listen to it, and it's like I think they did it, but then someone definitely went.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the reverse reverb didn't sound like what they wanted it to sound like. So they said, "Can you make it sound more like shh?" And they're like, "Sure. Get in front of a microphone."
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of things, while we're being nerdy, thank you for being nerdy with me. I love to be nerdy and talking nerdy with me. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
That's good stuff.
Yep. In the beginning of, and not just the beginning, but throughout the Beatles come together, there is what sounds like shh, right? That happens, right? In the shh, right? In those interludes and the intro of the song. Do you know what John Lennon is actually saying there?
No, but I know the person to ask. That would be.
Oh, I know the answer to the question.
Oh, what is it?
I figured if you knew, I'd have you share it. He is saying, "Shoot me."
No way.
Yeah. And now that you know it, if you go listen to Come Together, you'll hear "shoot me." Right. That's now.
Yeah. My duo does that song and Chris does that noise. I'm going to listen to see if Chris is saying
shoot me. Yeah, exactly.
That's nerdy. I love that.
And
I love that.
While we're on that song, I'll go one notch nerdier. Do you know why and for whom John Lennon wrote that song?
No, I do not.
He wrote it to be Timothy Leary's campaign song. Leary never got to run because he was, in jail. Details. But it was written to be his campaign song. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's funny because John he was political or anti-political. He was just very engaged.
He was very engaged. Yes,
you can hear that in like Revolution, all the songs, and
even Revolution. You get to count me out.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. A lot of people don't hear that one syllable.
No. It changes the whole song.
Yep. Yeah. And then you hear the other Beatles kind of fighting them when they have to. Well, in this version, I'm going to go shooby dooby, shooby dooby.
Oh, the shooby doo, shooby doo. It's great. That live version is awesome with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's lighten it up a little. Let's add some shooby doo-ahs in there.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, I love that, and I'm sure from recording versions, you know about the beginning of Sweet Emotion. You have to know it with Gig Gab. You know this, right?
Oh no, dude, lay it on me.
Okay, Steven Tyler forgot his maracas when they recorded. This is a well-known story. He forgot his maracas So think about Sweet Emotion. Ding, ding, the bass player. Ding,
Yeah,
ding,
yep.
They use sugar packets in front of a very expensive Neumann. Those were sugar packets.
I love that.
Because that's all they had to make that shaker sound.
I don't think I've ever heard. If I've heard it, of course I've forgotten it, but I don't think I've ever heard that before. That's out. I love that. That's great.
Yeah.
All right. One last question. If you've got 2 more minutes, do you use an agent with Shot of Poison, or do you do all of that yourself?
Yes and no. So we work with agents, but we are not exclusive with anybody. There's a reason for that. Everybody in the world, whatever business you have a ladder, 6-foot ladder, 10-foot ladder, 12-foot ladder.
Sure.
And a lot of agents are agents because they've built their own network of venues, theaters, festivals based on their experience and what they've done.
Yep.
And a lot of times I've been in bands or friends with bands that have taken on a new agent, whether I agreed or disagreed with it. I always notice that the agents always be like, okay, so I'm going to definitely get you these 4 shows because this is where you have your in. And now, but now I handle all your bookings. So you're going to hand me over your contacts for who you're already playing. Oh. And all they're doing is they want to add your venues that you've already earned that they may not have an in with to now be the contact. So they add it to their repertoire of venues that they can now put their other bands in as well.
Sure.
So listen, agents are very important. They know how to speak the speak. There are a lot of musicians that cannot book themselves. They just don't understand the music. They just don't understand how to do it. So Correct. Agents are very valuable, and so is the money you pay them. However, I have not had to work exclusively with any agent. Agents will call you when a fair from Florida or Texas or wherever calls and says, I need an 80s hair band. Their agent's going to look at their list and then they're going to say, okay, I don't have any, but let me find someone. And they'll call you and offer you the gig. Does that earn them our exclusive rights to book everything we do? No, but definitely work with agents.
Sure.
Never piss off anybody. Of course you don't want to anyway. And always understand you're going to get a deal. If you like it and makes sense, do it. If it don't.
Walk. That's right.
But walk lightly and keep that connection going because you never know when you can work with someone. But it's all about networking, and agents
Clearly.
are important.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. No. Thank you for answering that, and truly, Bruce, thank you for coming on the show, sharing. There's so many great little tidbits that you've shared today.
Got a lot of them, yeah.
No, it really, it's some fantastic advice. So thank you for,
you're welcome.
for that. And thank you for sponsoring the show in general. Like that, I appreciate that too. Tell people, please, where they can find you, Bruce.
So they can find me at brucebennettrocks.me.
Okay.
And that's, for me, all things me, songwriting, producing, my own album I have of songs. And then, of course, when musicians want to talk business and get some help, I always push them to Hello Band because part of Hello Band, Hello Band is, it's helloband.io. It's very simple, helloband.io. And I'll tell you, one good thing about the people that are signing up to Hello Band now, they get to talk to me and Bill, and we help them because we're helping them help us grow Hello Band by helping them build their business. And love helping, love consulting. And, people can always send me an email, hello@helloband.io. I'll always get that again, hello@helloband.io. And if they ever want to come say hello at a show, as right now, Shot of Poison or local in New England, the Radioactive Duo. It's Radioactive. It's a lot of fun.
Cool.
And by the way, when I say duo, it's not 2 guitars. It's a guitar and a live drum set.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, I want to come see that.
An acoustic guitar, no tracks, none allowed.
That's
vocals.
That's awesome. Yeah. All right. I want to come. I want to come see it. And it'd be great to meet you in person sometimes.
Same here.
Thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for everything. We have one phrase, 3 magic words that we like to say at the end of every episode. Would you like to take the honors for this?
Always be performing. Always be performing. Manage it, own it, love it.
Love it. Bruce, thank you for coming on the show. What a blast, folks. GigGabPodcast.com is where you can find us. You can find us on Instagram, Gig Gab Podcast. Make sure you come and sign up for our mailing list so we can tell you when a new episode comes out. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week.